Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the FlexZebra channel. Today we are going to start a new series where we're going to introduce flag football rules, flag football mechanics and in general behavior of us officials on the field to coaches, players, other officials or general public interested on what we really do. We are going to focus mainly on the IFF rule set I'm most familiar with. Sometimes we are going to make a short detour to either USA flag or NFL flag rules to explain the differences and explain the way how we are thinking about the rules. To introduce myself a little bit, my name is Filip Malý. I am officiating both flag football and tackle football for more than 10 years as of now. I have started officiating internationally as of 2016. I have some medal games under my belt. Also, I have officiated the USA Flag World. I have officiated the World Games and I have officiated some World Championships and European Championships as well. Here in Europe, I have officiated 2 Champion Bowls and an Adria Bowl, so I consider myself relatively experienced and would like to share what I have learned meanwhile. In these videos, we are going to present my point of view on the rules and on the current rules. Both my understanding and the rules are going to change, so be aware of that. If you are looking on the video with some time constraint or time delay, this is going to change. Today we would like to introduce you what our job and our mindset should be, and to some extent also what does it take to start officiating in your country and becoming a good flag football official. First, you need to start with looking on the rule set and the set of mechanics which are really used in your country. This is going to differ. We are going to introduce, as I said, mostly the IFF rule set and the IFF mechanics. There are differences across the countries, there are differences across the world, but they are not that major, and from this point of view, from the point of view of this video, you are not going to encounter too many differences. We need to develop 4 major capabilities as officials, and these capabilities are being developed outside of the field. Being on the field is just the top of the pile. That's the thing we are all looking at, we are all looking for, but it's not what officials do in their free time, and there is a lot of work behind it. The 4 things you need to master as an official are the rules, of course, understanding of the game, mechanics, and your mindset. So let's start. The rules are, of course, the most important thing we all need to master, but they are not the most important thing we need to focus on. We need to read the rules as the first thing we are doing as officials. We need to reread the rules basically every season, but the main reason why we are reading through the rules is basically the definitions, because the definitions are introducing to us how we should think about the game. Rules are in general our Bible, and as a Bible it is open to interpretations. So while reading through the rules, we should focus on the definitions, we should focus on general understanding of what the creator of the rules had in mind while writing the rule, and we should focus on some very outlying parts of the rules, not to enforce it, but to be aware about specialties we have in the rules. As soon as we have some on-field experience, we should also get back to the rules and reread the situations we were not very familiar with, we were not very confident while officiating, and look what the rules think about it. Basically, that for me is the most important usage of the rules, because on the field we need to make a decision, but after that we need to go home and we need to check whether our decision was correct, or discuss with our colleagues if there was some misunderstanding or disagreement about the ruling on the field. Also, be ready to reread the rules and read the changes of every edition of the rules, and this is going to be more important and more difficult with the time you're officiating, because there is going to be more and more of the rules and you're going to change your mindset you are already set up. Sometimes even minor changes are creating big differences in our ruling, and we need to be ready to change our mindset in thinking about it. Great example of this is our current IFF edition of the rules, where the rule 911E was extended by a sentence saying that if both players contribute to the contact in the same manner, the foul goes on the offense. This is a huge change which actually changed the whole understanding of illegal contact in IFF rules, and we were struggling with it for, I believe, half a year or maybe a year to actually get everyone on the same level of implementing this rule, because the wording change in the rules was very small, but the reality on the field differed quite a lot. So we need to be aware of this, and we need to make a long discussions with our colleagues, with other people, with players and with coaches to actually find out what the change will be and what the impact on the real game will be, because this changed not only the officiating, this actually changed the way the defense is being played on the current IFF fields, and we need to be ready for that, and we need to change ourselves and our understanding of what's happening on the field accordingly. What's also a good thing to do in a group of officials, but not on a field, is what we call officiating porn. Creating absurd situations, creating mind experiments about things which may happen on the field, and the current rules would actually solve it in a way we don't really want to enforce on the field. As soon as you're familiar with your rule set, it's a great idea, and to me personally it was a great experience to start thinking about other rule sets and the differences, because those differences actually brings you again to the very edge of the mindset of the people creating the rules and the difference in their setup. Second thing we need to master is understanding the game. We all think we do understand the game, but in reality none of us really do, and the main reason is that there are many points of view on the game. Me personally, I have a hard time and I don't understand the things offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators are talking about or how they are looking on the game, and we should also understand that they will never understand our point of view as an official. And on the other hand, it's our job to know that there are different points of view and to be aware that coaches or players need different information and are looking on the game differently than we do. This is important mainly for the fact that we as officials are looking for fouls, and sometimes the players commit fouls almost deliberately, and it's not to annoy us, it's basically because they are doing their job, and then it's our job to flag it if they commit a foul. What this really means for a newbie official or for a person who'd like to start officiating. My proposal would be take a videotape of a game you have played, or a game you're familiar with, or a game you'll watch first as a spectator, and then focus on what the officials are doing. Try to find out what their positioning was, where they were looking, what they were doing, and what their focus was on. You'll find out that it's completely different from what you are doing as a player or what they have been doing as a spectator. If you want to go into more detail, or if you want to practice more, join things like Instant Replay Flag Football on Facebook, or try to find out some video reviews of your association or of the IFF. Now for mechanics. Mechanics is the part we need to perfect. That's what we need to master, and that's what we need to best of. The best official is not the one who is having the great rule understanding, it's the one who has the best mechanics. With that in mind, we need to read through the mechanics, and we need to understand why the mechanics are being written in such a way, and we need to adjust our thinking again to this mechanic. The main reason for mechanics and why we are actually learning mechanics is that in theory, if you understand the mechanics and if you can officiate by the mechanics, you can step into any other crew and you can fit into your position without actually disturbing the way the crew is working. In reality, this will not happen absolutely, but the closer you are to the mechanics and the closer the crew is to the mechanics, the easier it is to start officiating with people you don't know and to look professional both from your perspective and from the perspective of the crew. So this is crucial. Mechanics in general are describing several things. The first and maybe most important thing for us is our positioning and our focus area. Why this is important? This is important first, as I said, to be able to officiate with any crew you are assigned to, but also this is important from the other perspective. If you're not looking into the zone you're supposed to look to, then most probably you're looking into a zone someone else is already covering, and that means that your original zone is not covered and nobody looks at it. Flag football, in the same way as American football, is quite complicated, and we need to look on the whole field except some very rare situations. If you're not following your zone, if you're not covering your line, you're actually letting the whole crew looking bad because you are not in the best position to make the call. I have seen many officials making good calls and very good calls, extremely good calls on situations they had seen, but not having seen things we needed to see. So be aware of that, be ready for your positioning, and be ready to move on a position you're supposed to move, and do not let your crew go down. Second thing we can see in the mechanics, and we need to study in the mechanics, is understanding of the fouls. As I have said, the rules are the Bible, which means it needs interpretation. Most of our interpretations are in the mechanics, and in the mechanics you can see when are different situations called as a foul, when they are not called as a foul, and also why. Sometimes this is hard to explain to the coaches, sometimes this is hard to explain to the players, but we need to be on the same level. We don't want to be too technical, we don't want to cherry pick from the fouls based on our personal preference. We want to be aligned with the rest of the officials, with the rest of the universe on what is being called this year in this league. So be prepared and officiate according to the mechanics. Then part of the mechanics is also a tempo. It's a little bit hidden in the mechanics. It's chapter 2.3 mostly. It's very important for us to actually maintain the level of emotions of the teams. In general, we need to hustle as an officials, but to hustle means still be comfortable. In the best case scenario, which we are trying to achieve, we are waiting for the players, which means after the play is over, we get the ball ready, we blow the whistle for ready, and the players are still preparing their next play, so they don't need to wait for us to spot the ball. This doesn't mean we are going to rush ourselves or our colleagues into mistakes. Be aware that every official needs to be in his position and ready for the next play before we make the ball ready. In general, newer officials takes longer time to prepare for the next play, so give them the time, make them hustle, make them not delay the game, but do not force them to a speed which is not comfortable with them, because then mistakes will come. We need to be ready to force ourselves to hustle more and even out of our comfort zone at the end of each half, in the last 2 minutes, but that's a very limited period of time where we need to hustle if the game is tied. On the other hand, if the game has a huge score difference and it's clear that one of the teams is going to win, we should slow down a little, give everybody a little bit more time between the plays to actually breathe out, to actually ease their emotions, and to end the game in a way where nothing unexpected happens. So be aware of the tempo of the game, be aware of the fact that the better the game, the faster the tempo is. Also be prepared to guide a little bit the players on the games where you expect huge emotions, and let the players and coaches a little bit of time to breathe out and to actually prepare themselves for the next play in football matter, and not to be angry on us or on their opponents. Last thing is mindset. To be honest, you are solely responsible to creating your own mindset, and nobody can give you a full manual how to do so. On the other hand, I will try to give you some small points which helped me creating my mindset, and I believe my mindset was at least partly appreciated on different fields. First thing is, do not interfere with the game unless you really need to. This means that we need to be a little bit hidden from the play. Nobody is coming for the game to actually observe officials. So if it's not needed, we are not interfering with the game. The other thing is, if you need to be visible, if you need to call a foul, or if you need to lower emotions of the players, you need to be very visible at the moment. Not only to the players we are talking to or to the coach we are talking to, but to the whole stadium. We need to make everyone aware that we stepped in and we actually corrected the way the game is going forward. Another thing which changed a lot since I started officiating is that we are not saying anymore, coach, what happened was da 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 da. We are saying, coach, what I have seen from my perspective is this, and based on this I have made such a ruling. Currently there are too many devices which are making video recording of the game, so we need to be ready for the fact that what we have seen is not what actually happened on the field. This will happen to everyone, we need to be ready for that, and try not to enforce that what you have seen, what you think you have seen actually, is what really happened. It's just your perspective, the best perspective you have because it's yours. With this goes another point, and that's try to be polite. Even to an extent matter, try to be polite to the coaches, to the players, try to look as a person who is there to help them and not as a person who is there to enforce the rules. You're not a police officer, you're actually more a sheriff. You're trying to avoid them making the fouls. You're not trying to make your name by calling the best foul ever possible. With this also goes another communication style. Try not to say, I haven't seen that, coach, even though it might have been true. Try to phrase it in a different manner, like, coach, I got caught with that zone, or I was covering that zone, I was covering that line. I really haven't seen what happened there. I had a bad angle on the situation, I will ask my colleague. That's the communication style which will let everybody know that you will not save the game by yourselves and that you rely on the other members of the crew and that you trust them. The best communication I can see is, coach, sorry, I haven't seen that. I'm afraid it's not my call and my angle was terrible. I had two players in between me and the action. I will ask my colleague, but I'm 100% confident that this colleague there is a good official, and if he would have seen a foul, he would call it. Another part is after the game, whatever happened, everyone is worth a second chance and shake a hand. This is crucial while officiating, even on the top levels. Sometimes the coaches are making arguments with you to make their point or to actually boost on their team. Most probably it's not personal, so don't take it personal, and after the game, just go to them and try to discuss what happened, or try to discuss what's going to be for lunch or anything else, and make friends. And last thing, but the most important to me, try to share positive attitude. Try to share it within your crew. Try to avoid situations when your crew is actually jabbering about how bad that coach is or how bad that player is, and try to share positive attitude both with your crew and with the coaches. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching if you made it all the way through up to here. If you have any suggestions on what the first fouls or first mechanics should be, write us into the comments and we'll try to adjust our schedule. Thank you and see you.